There we go.
Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Between Two Teachers. This is a place where we talk about education issues that are very important to the community, to the state and the nation, and also locally and in our county, Contra Costa County. So I am, today's Friday, July 21st, and my name is Consuelo Lara.
And my name is Madeline Cronenberg. And today is our 202nd episode of Between Two Teachers. And as always, I'm going to start this episode with our land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that we have gathered on the ancestral territory of Huichin, which is part of the unceded land of the Chochenyo and Karkan-speaking Muwekma Ohlone people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and all Ohlone people, past and present. And we encourage you to follow their efforts to try to become a federally recognized tribe. And you can do that by Googling Justice for Muwekma. And hopefully someday that will happen and they will not be second-class citizens even among the tribal community, which is unfortunately where they are today. And they will also, you can also learn more about them through the guides for the education and on the East Bay Regional Park website, where there's curriculum guide for studying the background of the Ohlone people in the East Bay, and also on the Contra Costa County Office of Education website, where they have a curriculum guide.
Yes, you can about CCCOE and land acknowledgement will come up, and you click on that and a wealth of information will be available to you.
So please do that. And also while you're at it, please like and share this video, which is going to be different from ones that we've done in the past. Between Two Teachers is hosting a forum this week. And as you can see from the screen, it's an education workforce housing forum. And we wanted today to give you a sneak peek at what's going to be happening at the forum and just give you an idea of the kinds of things we're covering and why we've decided this is so important and taken the role of actually doing it. So the forum.
Yeah, right? Madeline and I are back in the classroom. Feel so familiar here, sharing information and presentations.
This is the teacher part of Between Two. This is us teaching, right? We're back being teachers. So here we are, and the forum will be this coming Thursday night, 6:30 to 8 p.m. And it will be on Zoom, right where we are now, so you can find it. And ultimately, I will post the forum on the Between Two Teachers YouTube channel and other places, and also on the Facebook group for this for the Education Workforce Housing Facebook group. So it'll be in both places, so that if you miss it, you can always go back and watch it. But this is what it's going to be, the overview of what's going to happen at the forum. The forum is going to start with Board President Lara welcoming us.
Yes, I get the honor to welcome everybody for coming to this webinar. It's so funny how you can have an idea or a thought, and you know, I'm not the only one who is concerned about this area, and you mention it to some people and some people just pick up the ball and start running with it, and then you got to catch up with them and that's what happened here. I just have to, I'm gonna have a shout out to Trustee Butler, because she was the one who kind of passed it on to somebody else, and those people then just came together. When you come together, like-minded people with positive ideas who don't want to give up, who see, you know, the vision with you, it's very exciting. And that's kind of, this just blossomed. And Madeline and I have been talking about it for a long time. And the teacher shortage is so I mean, I go to school site council at Richmond High and there's no teachers and there's no substitutes and it's just heartbreaking. And this is one thing that we could do. And there's many things to do, but this is one that we want to, it intersects with the housing issues. So, and it intersects with our budget crisis. So education workforce houses, this is like, of course, we need to move on this. So it's personal and it's important and it's education and it's for our children. The whole thing is for our children, our students.
It addresses new issues in education. People will say, well, we never did it before, right? Well, we didn't have the teacher shortage crisis that we have now before. We didn't have the housing crisis that we have now before. And we had an entirely different budget landscape before. So that is why we didn't need to do it. We weren't looking for a solution, but now we are. And that's what this is. This is a solution to the new problems that we have in 2023. And that's, the reason we didn't do it before is we had other problems that we had to address. And I think that's one of the big things. It's new because the problems are new.
Problems are new, absolutely.
All right, so, and then here's a little bit just the background that in fact, the county board did pass the resolution, right?
Yes, and I just have to say it. It's amazing, some people say, well, it's just a resolution or nothing's going to happen. And but so much can. It's like that little seeds, get it started, and then it can blossom if you, it's a place to start as a board member, as a school board member, county board member, etc. So, bringing together like-minded people and having partnerships. So yes, and thank goodness to my board, the Contra Costa County Board of Education, for passing that resolution. Absolutely.
So we're going to attach it. That resolution is going to be available. But in addition to that resolution, there also needs to be action steps, because workforce housing isn't new. It's happened in California. There is a plan for it. There are strategies to do it. It's just that we haven't all felt the need to do it until now, when the need is incredibly great and we need to just recognize it. So that's the background. Thursday night, we're going to have John Sasaki as our moderator, and he's a name that I'm sure many of you are familiar with from his time in the media here in the Bay Area. So he will be our moderator. And we're going to have speakers from the Office of Assemblymember Buffy Wicks. Mr. Dean Wallace, who's her district director, will be there. And they will be talking about, and as well as Assemblymember Mr. Tim Grayson. He represents District 15, Assembly District 15. He will also be at our event. And they'll be speaking about legislation and the role of the state in workforce housing. We have a couple of other folks here. A real estate developer, young man named Preston Lamb, will be speaking about a project that he worked on specifically for workforce housing called Alvarado Village. It's a project that he worked on with respect to a competition he was in at Berkeley, and he was in the competition with Rushi Bindal, who is her day job is project management for Santa Clara, the real estate development division of the Santa Clara County Housing Authority. But she also worked on this project with Mr. Lamb, and they will both be presenting the details of that project and how it works. And that's important thing, for them. And then we're going to have a Mr. Leung from Bridge Housing to answer questions about finance, right? These are all really critical things. I actually think it skipped. No, I didn't put him in.
Comment about Bridge. Hasn't Bridge been operating for 30 years? Somebody, did I hear that right? Is that sound right? 30
and
years?
I think they'll be able to talk about really successful projects.
Yeah.
We're also going to have, and I haven't got his picture right here, and I need to put him back in. Troy Flint from
Yes,
CSBA.
yes.
Now, they've been working together with a cohort of school districts from throughout the state of California. And they have resources and expertise to share with any school districts that are interested in learning.
And they are very much a part of the resolution because they had the handbook and they had their guide. And so they have materials, resources, and they've gotten together. And so there's going to be a lot of resources there coming from that area. So looking forward
And then
to
Ms. Thomas is another person, right?
Yeah.
And she's in policy planning with respect to Contra Costa County. She's the deputy director of policy planning, and she will share properties that are available in Contra Costa that you may not have thought of or don't realize that it's important to the county is looking at the housing crisis, not specifically the education workforce housing crisis, but the county is looking at the housing crisis, has identified properties, many properties throughout the county.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming more and more in the media about how much property districts do have. And it just, the fluctuation of populations, the migration of housing and all of that, you just end up with these sites that then are not used for anything. And there is property that's developable.
Exactly. And they're going to speak about the fact that we can now look at that property differently, right? And Mr. Assemblymember Grayson and Mr. Wallace are both going to speak about AB 2295, which goes into effect January 31st next year. And when it does, it allows school districts to not have the barrier of zoning restrictions, which previously they have had. Up until now, you can't build workforce housing on a plot of land or on a parking lot that's part of a plot of land that is designated for schools. It's not designated for housing. AB 2295 changed that and said, no, you can build. The zoning requirements no longer have to be followed.
Yeah.
And you can partner with your local agencies. You can do land swaps. You can partner with your cities and also do things, work on properties for public employees, city employees.
Yes.
Right? County employees.
Yeah, it's a real paradigm shift because we're so used to no, you can't. We think we can't, but now we can. So it's like, oh, let's look at this differently.
That's the whole thing, that we can, and this has made it possible. So we need to celebrate the fact that our state legislators came forward and did make it possible. And then we have to do the steps to implement it, because just removing the barriers doesn't mean that you're moving forward. You still have to get up and move, right? And when you do it, you can, just for anybody who's listening, who's a board member and or even a city council member and is looking at how difficult this is going to be and how you can't do it because you're not in the business of property management. You're not going to be in the business of property management. You're going to outsource that. There are consultants who will do that for you. The examples that exist that we will talk about during the event show that throughout the state, the various developments that exist are outsourced. The district isn't running them. So you outsource your property management responsibilities. However, the district receives the rental.
It reminds me of some friends I've had who they had properties for whatever reason, and they wanted to rent them out, but they didn't want to have to be the one to go down, collect rent. And so they hired somebody. They signed up with an agency, and that agency then, of course, you pay them a fee, and they collect and they do all of that work for you, and they just send you the check. So that's basically what you're going to be doing.
That's what you're going to be doing. And so what you're doing is you're turning your empty parking lots into a check. That's what we have to start realizing. That's what we're talking about. And it doesn't have to be just an empty school site or an underutilized school site, which is how we've looked at it before with our committees, the 7-Eleven committee, the process that exists to sell school property. Put that aside. That's not what we're talking about anymore. What we're talking about is any property can be used for workforce housing and turned into funding for your district. And that is the big message. That is why this is so important that everybody understands. And it's been successful in many other places. And districts are unique. People have to understand their own district, but everybody can find a partner if they look.
Absolutely. Yeah. When I was on the board, I remember just learning how much the cities, because we had 5 cities in this district, how much they love their schools in their cities. Cities will put up money to save their schools. They really care about the schools and the teachers, and they want that community be intact. And because there's a history there. So I felt like collaborating with a city council person was a no-brainer. And we were speaking the same language because it was about the schools in their cities. Absolutely.
So if you're a city council person, reach out to your school board. All right, it doesn't matter who does the reaching. Doesn't matter. So if you're listening, if you're a community member, reach out to both your school board and your city councils, right? The time is now to start to move this forward and to put in motion the things we need to put in motion to get it started. And that's really, anybody can do. That's what we're doing. That's why you're watching this. It's because we are trying to help get it started.
And we're not saying it's easy, because it is very complicated and it can get very technical, but it's doable. We've seen it up and down the state of California. So don't be discouraged.
You're going to hire people to deal with the technical part. You're not expected, nobody is going to be expected to suddenly become an architect or a developer or a financial super expert. What you're doing is hiring consultants who have the expertise in this, who have the background, and who can bring that to you. And you're going to be able to pay for it ultimately out of the extra funds that you're going to be receiving from the rental income that's going to come to you.
Yeah. And in the meantime, you get teachers who stay in your schools. And so classified who will stay in the community. And stay in those schools.
Right. And your team in your school is going to get essentially a much better lifestyle, because here they have the opportunity to live in housing that will be reasonably priced for them. At the same time, the funding that they pay is going to go into their general fund for their schools to support the children of their school district.
Right.
It's a win-win all the way around. So the action step that needs to be taken is you agendize it. If you're a board member, or if you're encouraging a board member, what needs to happen is a resolution needs to be agendized that supports the education, workforce, and housing, and includes an RFP for a consultant who will identify sites, secure financing, and get a construction development partner, and then ultimately an operations partner as well.
And as a school board members, remember your mission. Workforce housing is part of your mission, because your mission is to provide education. Your mission is to provide, retain and recruit and retain teachers. This is all part of your mission. And so workforce housing is a way of implementing that part of your mission. So this is part of what you need to be doing. It's within your purview, shall we say, to be working on this. Absolutely.
It totally is. And just understand that you don't have to be what in the past might have been used as a barrier, a reason not to do it, is the bandwidth of your facilities department. But we're not suggesting that you bring your facilities department in and just give them a lot of extra work. That would be so unfair and inappropriate. We're suggesting that you outsource the work that is going to be needed to be undertaken to make this happen to consultants. So your facilities department bandwidth will not be stretched. We want to honor the facilities department folks and just create a parallel group of people who will be working on the housing part of what your district can offer. And the folks at Jefferson Union have done it. The folks in Santa Clara have done it. San Francisco's done it. Oakland's done it. There are more and more places all over the state that have successfully and do successfully operate education workforce housing. It's just that it's time for Contra Costa to step up and do it now.
And I believe there's a list of a lot of those projects on the Facebook page, the Friends, because there's a whole bunch of those on there because they're news making, and so they're on there. There is lots of examples of this being done. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just trying to.
And we're not saying that there won't be hiccups. Sure, there could be financing hiccups. So then you just keep going. With one thing falls through, you move on to the next. That's not the reason to not get started, because you might have a financing hiccup, right? Yeah. That's not the reason to not do it.
Teachers never give up. So we know you just keep on, you try something else. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try something else.
Right. So here's what we suggest that we all will continue to network, everyone who comes to the event. And if you're here on Between Two Teachers anyhow, so you're welcome. And join our Facebook group, post your resolutions and presentations, share your progress, and join us bi-monthly. Good. Joint meetings, and we will have joint meetings with agencies and update our progress countywide. Let me stop and share. And Consuelo has floated out for a moment. Don't know if she'll be back. Let's see. Well, I want to thank you all for listening. There she is. She is floating back in, as we all know can happen. There you are. You have floated back in.
I don't know what happened. Something crashed over here. So, but I'm back. Yep, it's plugged in, but it didn't. Okay. Anyway, we were just about done anyhow. Here.
Just about done. I was just saying that I hope everybody who's watching now can join us on Thursday. But either way, we will be reposting the video once it's put together. We're going to create a resource page. We're going to do everything we can to support having education workforce housing become a regular part of the school districts in Contra Costa County.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very exciting. I'm really happy that we're doing this. So please join us.
Please join us. We'll see you Thursday, and then we'll see you following that back here again on Between Two Teachers. So bye-bye.